right, hey guys, what is going on? We're going to do some we're going to do some artwork this morning. Give me a second here. If you're catching the stream in the future after we're done, skip ahead a minute, and I'll be on the other side of my intro stuff. Yeah, volume sounds good. So I'm going to drop that down. I need to do a few social media links, and then we'll get up and running. My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. We're creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition using 2024 rules. We are creating an adventure for the Eberron campaign setting, level 7 and 8. You can see the book cover here, Crystals of Mavar. We are fighting demons, undead, and necromancers in the Carnwood of Karnath on the continent of Corvair. Give me a hot second here. Almost done with my social media posts, and then we'll start getting into the new artwork. So I'm going to bump the book cover out of the way. We're doing interior artwork right now. This is later on in the monster manual section of the book, where we're detailing new monsters or heavily referenced monsters, making those available for people to take a look at. And so we're going to continue working on this piece. Looks like I'm done with my intro, so we can get that out of the way. And no, it doesn't look like that's all set up yet. Hold on. Almost there. Stay on target. There we go. Okay, everything's good. Like, subscribe to the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books I've already created on the DMsGuild. They all have free previews. They're chock full of my art and ideas. Be welcome to check that stuff out as you please. If this stuff, let's check. Let's get to work. Where is my pen? There it is. Okay, cool. Let's see. Bloop. Getting into it. Let's put some fingers on this guy. Yeah, that feels... How do we make this hand feel a little more natural? Let's take that away. Instead, let's do it like, say like this. We'll figure this out. Feels a little bit too splayed. I'm going to, let's try to condense it a little bit. Free transform. Let's bring it in like this, a smidge. There we go. In here. Cut, paste. Free transfer. Ooh, let's do some perspective on this one, just to broaden it out a bit. There we go. That's feeling a lot better. Can we do this? We can pull the hand into the soil. And then we can mound up the soil around the hand. Let's see. Fiend. We'll go Ghoul. Sorry, it's a ghast. Ghast, and then in front of the Ghast we'll have some more grittiness in here. Between the fingers will end up working. Let's do that. There, we'll just work it into the soil. That way we don't have to worry about the anatomy so much, but the motion is implied. So dirt is good like that. Let's push this down into here. And round that up here. Around the stone here like this, work that in. Put some dirt repage in here. Just have to clean up the rest of the body a little bit here with some lighting. And then we want to do the underlighting coming from the grave itself. And then we'll finish resolving the texture of the soil in the outer areas here where it fades out. And then we'll move on to the next piece. So after this, we have 5 more pieces to go to finish all of the illustrations in the book. In the evening, off screen, I'm loading illustrations into the pages and building out the maps, all the hyperlinks to the maps, jumping around inside the document from room to room in the dungeons. Get that soil worked up here. And then really just blend it out. And then we'll renew the grit that's layering over this to match the rest of the environment. That feels pretty good. Let's go with that. And then we have our grave, we have our ghoul, we have our ground. Between the ground and the grit, between the ground and the grave is the radiance. So let's grab that there using our reference image up here. We're going to grab this lighting here. This is Volpino Lotharia. This is a partial image of one of the illustrations that we had done. Let's drop this. Let's see. We have our ground broken up. Let's see how we have it broken up. Texture, lip, ground, underground. I think this is where it needs to be. Let's see if we can make that work. Let's do that. Actually, under this might actually be the right idea. That's fun. We'll go with that. Yeah. Then we'll layer over that. There, like that. That's feeling pretty good. And then with the gravestone, we're going to put a sliver of light to Verify you're not crazy. There is some sort of underlighting happening here. The Lotharia fungus glows an unnatural green. It's viridescent is the term that they use for that unnatural glow. We'll leave this like that for the tombstone sticking out through the bottom of the ground. And then over that, we're going to layer some grit like this. Here, we'll bring in a little bit of underlighting like that. Pull that down. There, that feels really good. I'm going to erase some of that down. There, that feels pretty good. And we'll have some of that rim lighting from underground bridging around here. Just create some interesting highlight effects. That should be fun. Let's see. How are we sitting? That feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. Let's get back into our ghast. Can we blend this back down? Let's merge this back down into a single form so we can get back to basics. Here we go. Take that 100%. There we go. Okay, we're just carving anatomy right now into the undead's body. Let's break that out. Let's push the strength of that smudge brush so I can push these pixels around a little bit easier. That down. Nice. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? Man, we are so close to being done with this. Like how this is sitting. I'm doing pretty good. There's a lot going on in my life that I behind the scenes. There's I'm going through a pretty big life transition with having this piece get finished, and I've got some work stuff going on. I've got some. I'm going to have to. Probably in the next month or so, there's a... What am I trying to say? Day job is going well. I'm transitioning. I'm going through some changes there. I'm looking at getting some licensing to give me more options. I'm looking at an electrical license, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm diversifying. If I get some if I get some practical mechanical work experience, then because I have a 9-to-5 corporate white collar job, which may very well end up being destroyed in the next couple years. So I'm going to go through the pain of change right now and get some get some electrical wiring licenses in place, so that if my cushy day job turns to shit, I can transition over into a blue collar job and start working construction sites with electric like building electrical wiring and shit. I'm still learning about it. Basically a trade. So it's going to eat up some of my downtime. I anticipate for the far future, assuming everything goes well, that my art schedule of being here in the mornings, that should not be interrupted. With God's grace, for the next 20 years, I should be able to sustain this morning pace. But it would be foolish of me to not pay attention to what's going on in the corporate world and technology, and having a number crunching job. It might just be a matter of time before I get the axe. So I'm taking the steps necessary to protect myself and my own, and so that's going to probably slow down my production of books for a few months. Like hopefully by May, I'll have that resolved and in my pocket for me to continue forward. But it will slow down production a little. I'm going to revisit the spellcasting and the Spelljammer book that I made, using the circle magic system that was in the Heroes of Faerun book that just came out. It talks about spending extra spell slots to amplify spells that are being cast, which is something that we have in the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. But now that there's an official way to spend spell slots to increase the, areas of effect and duration and the range of spells, I want to implement that, because that cleaves closer to what Wizards believes is proper for their game. So obviously we want to integrate that tool into Spelljammer. So I'll be updating that a little bit. I keep saying we're a couple weeks away from being done with this book here, this Eberron book, but I don't know exactly when it's going to publish, because I'm still in the process of getting these last few illustrations done and putting all the product pieces together. Like I'm doing I'm integrating pages into the book itself, and cleaning up assets to put it into the zip file that you get when you purchase the adventure, all the maps and shit that go along with it. So that takes downtime, and it's boring as fuck. So I don't do it on screen with you guys. That's something I do offline. So that's how I spend a lot of my off-screen time, is fleshing out the stuff that we did on screen. And yeah, so yammer. That's what I got going on. That's feeling pretty good. Let's straighten this up in here. Why to change something so different from your current job? Because my current job is all about processing data. And if 3 years from now the corporation decides that a machine can do my job better than I can, I'm not going to change their mind. They're just gonna change my employment to zero. So maybe I won't need to. Maybe I'll be able to land on my feet. But I'm in Seattle, and Seattle has a pretty high standard of cost of living. Not standard of living, but cost of living. It costs about $80,000 a year to live on your own. And if you want to make any progress towards retirement or anything, you need more than that. And being that the corporate sector might be destroyed by AI, etc., it might be really hard to find a number crunching job that pays $80,000. But I don't want to go on unemployment and welfare. I want to be ready to protect myself for the future. It's let's say I'm hedging my bets. I love my day job because it allows me to do stuff like this before I have to go into my day job. If I get a manual labor job, then I'm probably going to be getting up and going out earlier, and so I'm certainly hoping that doesn't happen. But it is absolutely a absolute possibility. You gotta do what you gotta do, and we'll figure it out. So. We'll figure it out. It might not be this. Let's just say if I put this energy in and I never need it, then it was energy well spent because it was staving off karma by being prepared. I don't actually believe life works that way. I believe no matter what it is that you do, life happens to you. But at the same time, you are compelled to say, act, do, go where you don't expect, because life knows where you're going to end up at. And I need you to be at this corner on this street at this time for you to have the miracle of life happen to you in a way that we will not tell you. It is not your job to ask. It is your job to not even do, because you don't control what you do. You don't control what you say. You have a running dialogue in your head about what you're thinking about, but that gets disrupted all the time by truth. And so we think that we're in charge because that's the illusion of entropy, but we aren't. We have absolutely no idea what's going to happen next. We are literally the passengers on a first person. If video game cinematics tell you anything, it's less about what do you actually do and what are you witnessing. How about that as a dig at the industry? It's like life is a series of cutscenes that we actually think our button pressing matters, and it doesn't. It's like some games are now developing into cutscenes where you have to hit A, B, or like hold like tally a button back and forth. But it's kind of like it's kind of like how all those mobile games that are advertised, like the like kill this goblin and your strength goes up by 3, and the next goblin has a strength of 5. So if you kill it, you now increase your strength by 5. But there's no decision making in that game. You either go left or right, or often you just click continue, or like those stupid spaceship survival games where you're running around. And you kill the monster, and then you click the button, and it makes a greenhouse, and you click the greenhouse, and it grows plants. These aren't actually decisions that you're making. You're just clicking continue every time they finish a sequence. You're not playing a game. You are manually scrolling a movie projector that's showing you a game that's already a story that's already been played out for you. And life is honestly a lot like that. So I find it, although it's boring as fuck, those type of games are stupid. They do symbolize life rather well, in that you're not actually making a decision here. You're just going through the motions of clicking continue, thinking that you're making a decision in your life. So me being compelled to get this license isn't me. It's what life is deciding to do with me. I just choose to not fight it so I can enjoy the ride and see where it leads us, instead of trying to figure out how to outsmart it, because there's nothing to outsmart. You cannot outsmart the flow of life. Anyway, that's my philosophy. So for whatever reason, I'm being compelled to get licensing, so I'm going to get licensing. And whether it's because I'm going to end up meeting somebody, or I'm going to be at the right place at the right time, or I'm going to exchange a packet of psychic energy with somebody at the licensing facility. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. I've just heard the command, and I will execute. Or rather, I guess you could say I will witness myself executing this at the tempo and pace that it chooses to. And I will thank God that I am alive to be able to witness the unfolding of my own entropy. If that makes any sense. That's feeling pretty good. The hand's still a hot mess, but we're figuring it out. Yeah, America is so ironic. It says the technicalization of labor in America means that truck drivers, that automated trucks are going to take your job away from truck drivers. But I guess it turns out most of the truck drivers are people, I guess, that are having their licenses revoked because they weren't legal residences and they shouldn't have gotten trucking licenses. So the people that are losing the trucking jobs, I guess, are being deported. So does that mean, I guess no Americans really lost any jobs as a result of automated trucks coming in? The irony of that, I think, is pretty funny. I'm not much of a world politics talking sort of guy on my stream, but that one in particular I thought was rather ironic. That for years they've been saying, oh, the truckers are going to lose their jobs, but like there's like 70,000 commercial driver licenses issued in California that I guess were issued to people that are undocumented, and it's weird. So I don't want to dive into my opinions about stuff too much, but I will say that's fucked up. But yes, I am effectively in the trucking industry. Okay, so if you were in the trucking industry and you decided to follow, I think it was Biden's advice to, or that era of time, the scientists were saying, yeah, you should learn to code, but now they took coding away from us because they just laid off 30,000 employees from Google because they don't need you to code anymore. So that was a lie. South Park had it right, man. The only jobs that seem to be stable are the ones where you have to pick up and move things around until robots come and take things away from picking up. You can't pick things up anymore because robots take those away. But blue collar work will probably be the last bastion of income that will be available to the American people before we become a completely universal income requiring society. Star Trek had it right, man. Star Trek, the 99% of the population of Earth don't do anything. Everything's taken care of for them. They have replicators, for God's sake. Do you need a shirt? Here. What year of Louis Vuitton do you want to have all of your stuff? Because we can just replicate it for you at no cost. Like we can convert air into food. What do you need? That's where Star Trek got. So all the people that are in Starfleet are people that are bored to death of being handed a life of luxury that they can pursue whatever they want. If that was handed to me, I'd be painting and doing game design because it's fun. I know AI can spit out ideas and mechanics about stuff that we do, but it's my game, it's my playtesting, it's my observations, they're my mistakes. It's my art. It's my development. I just want to make things. I just want to make things. So I've been blessed with a life that allows me to make things. But if it changes, it changes, and I have to roll with that. As long as I'm still on the planet, I'm still logging time. So I'd like to think that I get to do artwork forever. I like to think that I get to make all these books that I've been working on, but I don't know if I'm going to get blipped tomorrow. So the best thing I can do is, while I'm alive, is appreciate being alive. And when intuition guides me in a direction, don't fight the flow. It's not telling me, what should I do? It's saying, this is what's going to happen. We're giving you some advance notice to ready yourself. That, to me, is what intuition really is this thing's about to happen. Get ready. Unless the system wants to give me a strong enough emotional shock that it doesn't tell me something's coming. In which case it is, booyah, surprise. There. Oi! Here you need your legal ID to do basically anything, even when you use your credit card, huh? Right on. Ever-changing world. 1 minute you're just a man, the next you're all wet. Ooh, wait, I gotta fix that. we go. Blend that down in. How you doing, Steve? Thanks for hanging out with both of you guys. Appreciate it. There I am. Whoop. I am just about ready. Let's do that. What's up? So far, so good. I've been ranting about the future and changes. So life is doing what it wants to do through me. I could have complaints, but literally no one cares. Not even the stuff we say do we really choose to say. How many times have you been in a conversation and you just blurted out something you had no intention of saying? Good or bad. Like, oh, I can't believe I accidentally said that. My life has changed for the better. Or, oh, shit, I can't believe I said that. My life has changed for the worse. Like, it's not like we actually control this shit. Do like a little bit of here, a little bit of here. There, that feels really good. Let's figure out these knuckles real quick. This is Uncle Phil rant. Right on, man. My grandfather, he used to teach jiu-jitsu to soldiers in Vietnam, and when I was a little kid, he'd sit here and he'd sit and smoke his cherry wood pipe on his Barco lounger, and there was me and like maybe 8 other cousins that were within 5 different cousins that were within relatively same age as me at the time, and he'd come up and he'd put us in pinky locks and wrist locks, and he'd push us around and manipulate us. It's like, see how easy it is to move the human body? I don't know what his rant was about, man, but it was cool having Grandpa throw us around. He'd just sit in his chair, he's like, crack, and the kid would crumble. It was like when we were 10, 11 years old, so it's not that hard to beat up a little 10-year-old, but still, he barely lifted a finger to toss us around, and that got me really interested in martial arts in general. That was fun. There, let's do, that's starting to feel a little more realistic. I like that. Let's take our soil here and push it down a little and pull it up so we can have push that, pull that. There, good. Good, that feels a lot more realistic. That's what I wanted to do. And now we can further push and settle this into the soil. We'll paint over that. But that's a good hand. That's officially a good hand now. And I mean, this, I think at this point I'm just kind of whinging. This guy needs a tongue. And then we'll call him done. Done, and done. And then we'll fix up the soil, and then we'll move on. Yeah, no kidding. There, I am going to tongue time. And then we'll figure out the eyes. It's not a ghoul. Technically, it's a ghast. Cheers. Ghasts make ghouls. Maybe not that long. You have any tips for DMs to make the party come together? What do you mean by that? Tell me more about coming together. Tell me about being a part. Are you talking about a brand new campaign and having a reason for characters to work together, or have you gone through some character deaths and players are introducing new characters, or did they decide to break up in the dungeon and now they're on the wrong side of a wall and they can't get back together? Because these all have manageable solutions. You just got to understand what the conversation is about. The bigger, meaner goal. Yeah, I'm straight. Timely timer. I only have an hour this morning. Actually, we only have about 20 minutes left this morning. But we're looking really, really good. I think I want to... I want to work these lights, this highlight back into the rest of the body so it's consistent. I see answers. I already have the campaign, but I need a strong reasons for the players to be together from the beginning. Oh boy. Okay, so you don't have characters. You've made a campaign, but you don't have any characters yet. And you're trying to figure out how to bring the characters together for the campaign. Do the players know what the premise of the campaign is? And are they on board with it?
Oh, right on, Steve.
I will see you on the other side, my dude. Thanks for hanging out. There and drop that one in back here.
There it is. They have played a couple sessions, but one of the players told me that the party is just united because we are all friends playing a game, not because they have a reason to work together.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, generally, when I'll tell you this, when I run a game, I either have a very specific narrow reason for the campaign, and the reason the team is together is built into it, or I don't build the campaign at all until I know what the players want to play and want to do, and then I frame the then I build the campaign around that premise. So like the Spelljammer campaign that I'm building right now, it's your team operate the Spelljammer ship that oversees and acts basically as a police force for a cluster of asteroid communities. The players' role are mecha pilots and sheriffs and deputies that protect the village from external threats. The reason the team is together is because they were recruited to do this, and they all want to do this at varying degrees. They can insert their own personality and ideas along the way if they want, but that is the guiding premise of the campaign. Build your character accordingly. Other campaigns I've ran, it's like, hey, what do you guys want to do? We want to be involved in asteroid mining in orbit around Eberron. In a sort of Eberron Spelljammer sort of campaign, like Deep Galactic, Deep Rock Galactic or something like that, but RPG. I'm like, okay, let me build that premise. So they already came in. It's like we want to be involved in a mining guild, basically delving asteroids to fight monsters that are discovered inside the asteroids. So that was what they wanted to do. So I built a campaign around doing that. The Spelljammer Eberron campaign, I know specifically what I want the campaign to do and what role the characters have in that campaign. So it's like, if you want to be involved, build a character that's going to match that motif. So the players know like the theme of what's going on in all circumstances, whether they decide what the theme is or I tell them the theme so that they can build their characters appropriately. And then honestly, in backstory, I don't care about backstory and motivation. Most of it is, like I said, just built into the scenario. So the team has to have a unifying reason, and sometimes like you'll start off with this is why the campaign is there, but that isn't their actual unifying reason. In one of our campaigns, the unifying reason for the party was we want to make the best tailor shop in the multiverse, and they everything that they did was around advancing the materials that were available or the skill of seamstresses or They got really into making a tailor in like a tuxedo shop for gods and demons. Like that was their shtick. That was what they wanted to do. So everything that they brought to the table was, this is how my character is going to contribute to the theme of this group. So until they have if they have a theme, great. But as their characters died and they replaced them, they were like, oh, now I can make that artificer that's going to help us make magical armor like that look like, high-end tuxedos, so we can start offering that stuff. So they became a very dapper combat team because they started investing in combat tuxedos. It was a fun campaign, but it was pretty goddamn ridiculous. All truth be told. But again, the idea there is the overarching message I'm bringing is that they have a theme. If they don't know what the campaign is about, it's going to be difficult for them to have a theme. So you have to kind of tilt your hand on, this is what's going on in the campaign. And, if you guys, you should have buy-in from them already because it's the game that they're running. But that buy-in is supposed to be part of session. In my world, the way I run games, that session 0 is part of that buy-in, getting them to a place where they know what the theme of the campaign is and what their role in that campaign is going to be. And since they're going to be in that dynamic, make backstories, personalities, and character types that are going to complement what the overarching theme is to achieve. I don't know if that helps or not.
In my case, it's just that some players shouldn't be together having. They played a couple sessions.
Well, again, they need to decide. They need to decide for themselves. That's probably like a session 0, like a 0, like if you're on your 4th episode, it's gonna be like episode 4.5. Let's figure out what the theme of the campaign is, and also knowing the scope of the campaign. Are you intentionally running from level 1 to 20, or are you limiting yourself to like a 5-level vignette of a campaign? Or knowing your scope is going to help because the energy of the campaign is going to change as you transition from chapter to chapter. And if we're using my approach of a 5-tier system where a new chapter starts every time the characters gain a proficiency bonus gain. Assuming 5e, 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, a full 20-level campaign in my world is a 5-season TV show. TV shows always have an overarching threat or issue that needs to be dealt with, and shenanigans happen along the way that set you up for further shenanigans in the future. So whatever you've done so far, start reframing it from that perspective. So you can start taking bites out of things and make sure that as the campaign continues, every time the characters gain a proficiency bonus, have a new session 0 to make sure we know what's on, where the team is at, what they want to do, what their goals are, and what kind of an experience do they want to have with these particular characters, and then build the game to match that, adding in all the twists and turns and BS. But you have to have player buy-in. If we don't have player buy-in, we're not going to get very far. I'm going to put this tongue above the dirt.
Big campaign, 3 to 20. I want to solve the issue now that we are on session 4.
Yeah, no. What you need to solve the issue for
is you're level 3 right now?
You need to figure out what's going to happen through level 5. And depending on whatever the hell happens on level 5, by level 5, from 5 to 8, that's your next transition point, your next steps. And then 9 to 12, and then 13 to 16, and then 17 to end the campaign.
The tempo, the mood, the flavor of the campaign will change as the characters continue to grow in power. And you only really, well, if I were running a campaign like that, which I often do, I would say, yeah, make it bite size. Figure out what they want to do for the moment, and then just let the game evolve into what it's going to evolve into. The players are going to get bored of the current circumstances, so that dividing things up into seasons makes a current situation entertaining until it's not, and then you can get out of it. What kills campaigns most often is just is a lack of energy. it dies out. Either it gets repetitive or boring, or they lose their way. Transitioning from different players can often kill a campaign because the vibe of the table will change. These are all severe threats to having a 20 level campaign execute properly. So hedge your bets and get yourself to a place where the team knows roughly what's going on right now. They understand the overarching theme of the next few levels is going to be X, Y, Z. You might have a master plot in the back of your head about how things gonna pan out from level 18, 19, and 20, and you're just trying to build a pathway there. I'd say don't worry about it. You can build a path. You can build a path to a big bad within 3 episodes if you focus narrative and attention and challenges around that theme. So you can always build the campaign into where you want it to go from where it is, but you always want to make sure where the campaign is at is where the players want to be, because they will start just not showing up if they're not liking where the game is going. And because people are different, they don't always tell you what's wrong, so you have to constantly bug them about, hey, where are we at? How you doing? And those session zeros, every time you get a proficiency bonus, is a good, reliable cadence where they have acknowledged that they literally acknowledge that they have gained power and strength in the campaign, and that they're becoming more powerful, and it's appropriate for them to decide where do we want to take this from here. And if you build the campaign where if the TV show gets canceled at the end of season 3, we're okay. If you build in cliffhangers that basically blackmail the studio into continuing because your storyline isn't complete, what's going to end up happening is they're going to make the executive decision to cut the show whether you've told your story or not. And then the fans get pissed off because you leave them on a cliffhanger and nothing happens. So if you approach your campaigns like TV and treat your players as both the audience and the executive board at the same time, you can start understanding what's the power dynamic that's happening here. They can't do it without you, but without their buy-in, you're not doing anything. You see how that works? Good. I'm glad that helps. I've been DMing for 38 years, and this modular approach to storytelling and requiring player buy-in to move forward with stuff is I think it's vital. But I mean, they can tell you vaguely what they want to do, and you can build whatever you want and take it anywhere you go. But you want to make sure that you're staying on point with what they wanted to do. And by, like in my case, you gain a level about, anywhere from like 12 to 15 hours of gameplay, you're going to gain a level. Whether I'm precisely timing the game or it's XP or milestones, it all basically averages out to a character gains a level after 12-ish hours of table time. And I run 3 or 4 hour sessions, so it's every 3 or 4 episodes the characters gain a level, which is pretty fast. But at the end of it, if it's going to be 12 hours per level on average, and there's 20 levels, that's a 240 hour campaign. And around hour 200 to 220, the team starts to get bored. They're like, we've been playing these characters for a long time. We've loved the adventure, but we want something new. So by integrating something new into the adventure along the way, they don't get bored of the characters because they're not stuck in the same TV show. You can switch it up. And by going with 5 seasons like that, you can have a main boss at the end of every season as your season climax. They defeat the big bad, and they see now that the big bad was a gatekeeper to more big bad stuff that the team is now more powerful to take on. It's a pretty elegant system. And so if you tell them, like, if they don't know the theme of the campaign, or if they don't have a deep understanding of why they're in the campaign, why their characters are there, they aren't going to have anything to bond over. That's why I personally like using guilds. Any kind of a guild or faction as a starting point, because you're all part of the faction. Easy, super easy. But you're already into the campaign, so you don't necessarily have the opportunity to do that. But this early on, you could introduce factions that the team might be interested in, and whichever one they glom onto, make that their faction and make it easy for them to get into it, because then that becomes an organization that can dictate orders to the characters that they can decide to choose to follow or not, which then becomes their own story arc that they can hinge off of. Like, we're part of this guild, but we don't like their motives, or we're part of this guild and we love what they're doing and we hate their rivals, or anything like that. So if you can build them into an organization, the sooner the better. If it's not that kind of campaign, then you're going to have some sort of strong NPC engagement to keep them on script with where the story is supposed to be going. Quest givers are always useful, and when they're built into a faction that the team aligns themselves with, it's going to hit deeper. But you have to have that buy-in from the players. If they're like, we don't know what they're doing, if they don't know what they're doing, it's been a few sessions, then there's no strong theme that's been presented to the campaign yet. So maybe your next step is going to be, hey, here's the things that have been happening so far, and they lend towards A, B, and C. Which of those things do you think is cool? What do you like about that stuff? And maybe then you can prompt from them what a common theme among the characters can be. Like, I don't give a crap about your character's backstory. You could come in with a 7-page backstory about being a noble prince and blah de blah. But if you guys signed up for oil expeditions, then your nobility isn't going to have much impact on the day-to-day of oil prospecting out in the sea or whatever. So you might want to think about what do we know about the characters already that can be used to help build towards that answer. There's a lot of vagaries that I'm alluding to. But every campaign is different, but these general premises are the same. It's just I don't know your campaign, and so I don't know how it specifically is going to be, how these ideas are specifically applied to your circumstances. So in that sense, I'm only so useful. I need to darken this up. I hadn't thought of that they might get bored with their character. Oh God, yes. Oh my God, I've had players that switch characters every 3 or 4 sessions. They'll gain 2 levels and then they'll change the character. Sometimes players change their character because they don't think their character is a good fit for the challenges that they're facing. So instead of adapting by changing their character strategies, they change their characters that have different strategies built into them. And that's obnoxious as fuck. And I would fight against them doing that, but they would say, hey, if I don't enjoy my character, I'm not going to play. So I want to switch characters, and so you need to have. So they've got to. Okay, you can bring in a new character, but you have to figure out your buy-in on this. And if you build a guild, that makes it really easy for them to have that buy-in.
But yeah, players will ditch on characters all the time. All the time. Especially like when you get in like 12th, 13th, 14th level, when all you're really doing is, if you're a full caster, gaining new spell levels. Even that gets kind of boring. So you got to keep an eye out for that shit. Yeah, it will absolutely happen. I think I only have like a few minutes left. That was my timer that went off, and yeah, it's 7:52, so I only have a few minutes left.
But if you keep showing up, we can keep talking about this. The players know the main villain, but one player was a supporter of him 1,000 years ago. The other characters does not give a shit, and only the last one wants to stop them.
See, if they don't care about the villain, it's a bad story. I'm sorry. If they don't have buy-in, if you can create buy-in, you can eventually wrap that villain back around by, like, if they're like 3rd level, 4th level right now, that villain might not matter until 9th level or 12th level. Just keep them in the back pocket and do something that they care about. Because if you do an epic quest to fight this dude, they're going to be staring at that guy for 200 hours. They're going to fucking sick of looking at his face. So you don't want to... That big bad might actually just end at, say, 9th level. And that big bad was the gatekeeper to a much bigger badder. So, because they are going to get bored fighting undead for 20 levels. They're going to get bored dealing with office politics after 3 levels. They're going to get bored with church faction rivalries after 3 levels. All these things have a timeline. And they all age out, and you have to be ready to transition the narrative and the scope of the campaign to match where the players are actually at. Otherwise, they will bail, and not necessarily on you, on the campaign. Hey, we're bored of this shit. We want to try something new. If you just keep making things new, they'll never say that because they don't know what's going to come next, and they want that excitement of what's next. Very, very important stuff. It's not as important if you have a really limited campaign, but if you're planning on going 3 to 20, that is going to be critical for your survival. Almost done. I'll see if I can get my ass out of bed a little bit earlier tomorrow, and we have like maybe another 40 minutes worth on this piece, and it should be done. Maybe anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes, depending on whether I give up on it or not. Or rather, how soon will I give up on it? Because every artist gives up on their painting eventually. They just have to stop. I like that thick base. It reminds me of Toonami. World's Strongest. Next on Toonami. That's one strong kid. Yeah, let's do that. And let's build a little bend in here. That's not looking good. You know what? I think I better stop. Hey, that's not so bad. We're looking good. We still have some texturing to do down here. The ghast. I think the ghast itself, he's looking pretty good. I don't think I need to change that at all. I'm just going to leave him be. All we need to do is some soil, some Vulpina Lotharia out here in the fringes. And we'll probably have this done like in 20 some odd minutes tomorrow. And then we're going to start in on the next piece. We have 5 more pieces after this. But yeah, I got to kick out of here. Fernando, if you want to catch up with me tomorrow, like after you think about this a little bit,
you want to come back and we can dive into it a little bit further, I am more than happy. I love talking shop like that. Like structure is really important. Most DMs don't know that until they realize I lack structure, and that's why things are falling apart. But it could take years for you to realize that. So hopefully we can give you a little bit of a head start. I will see you guys on the other side, my man. Y'all have a good night. I doubt I'm going to be here for lunch, but I might be. I will definitely be here tomorrow morning. And on Thursday night, I'm going to be on Wally DM's YouTube instead of here. I'm going to be playing Super Atomic with AJ Pickett, Fred Willard, and anyone else that's going to show up. We should have a team of 4 or 5, I think, and then I'll be back doing Eberron Spelljammer stuff later, like at 7:30 or so, instead of, well, I was at 7 yesterday, so it might just be my normal time. But I'll be on Wally DM's channel starting at 5 o'clock, and just watch my social media channels. I like Super Atomic; it's a super loose superhero RPG system that AJ Pickett built. So I look forward to doing that. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Later, Gators.